All right, good evening, Falmer. My name's Laura Simmons. I'm a first-year photography student based at Grand Parade down the road. I would describe myself as an anti-capitalist feminist and a student activist. So the question you might want to ask is, why should you elect me as your women's officer? Well, let's look at my experience. From 2006 to 2007, I was elected women's officer at Park Lane College in Leeds and was re-elected for the following year. Now, my college wasn't lucky enough to have an LGBT officer, so I tried my hardest to fulfill both roles. In my 2 years in my position, I managed to set up both an LGBT society and a women's group within my union. I want to continue this work if elected, with Zoe Collingwood, who's standing for LGBT rep. I've also in the past helped to organise the Reclaim the Night North March, the 2008 Feminist Fight Back Conference, as well as a national demonstration held last week in London for free education. So why do we need a women's officer, you might ask? Well, the autonomous self-organisation of any group that suffers oppression and discrimination in society is essential, both in order to consolidate hard-won gains and push for greater progress. Right-wingers often think that because we now have legal equality, the struggle for women's rights is somehow over. But legal equality does not mean real equality for all. Officers representing specific struggles in society for liberation and equality in society still have a vital role to play. Reproductive freedoms are compromised by the student loan system, which prevents many student parents from being able to afford university, by lack of nursery places and inflexible university timetables, and by overworked university and local health services that might not always be available when students need them. I aim to work closely with the university and local health services and campaign for improvements to abortion services in the area. I'd also make sure that the Women's Campaign took the lead in fighting for free education and better childcare provision at the university. Elect me and I'll put free education campaigning at the forefront of my work, supporting and helping to organise mass direct action to tell the government and university bosses that education is a right and not a privilege. Coordination between the liberation campaigns is severely lacking, and this allows us to be divided when we should be united. Sexism is implicit in LGBT discrimination. Black women were often the last people to receive the vote, and disabled women often face draconian curbs on their sexuality and reproductive freedoms. We need a campaign that integrates every struggle against repression into a total greater than the sum of its parts. So that's why I urge you to vote for someone who puts student unionism and women's liberation at the heart of her politics. For a fighting, liberating, active women's campaign, vote Laura Simmons, #1 for Women's Rep.